Good afternoon, and thank you for watching another video with a guy and his projects. Please remember, subscribe if you want to see more, thumbs up if you like this video, and check out my playlist if you're interested in this van, this project. I've got a bunch of videos in this playlist. I also have tons of other videos. I think right now I've got 108 or some posted. There's plenty of videos, more coming pretty much every single week. So hit the subscribe button and leave a thumbs up. Moving on, today we're replacing the front brakes on this 2008 Dodge Grand Caravan. This is the 4.0 liter SXT trim level, blah, blah, blah. It's got the light duty brake package. I'm working on an upgrade for that. I know some of you guys have actually done the upgrade to 2-piston calipers. That's not this video, that's another video coming up hopefully. But for now, today, we're just doing a regular brake service on the front of this van. This is rotors, pads, and that's about it. So I did buy some stuff. I didn't buy the typical brake pads that everybody else does. Everybody's on this Power Stop High. I'll link some Power Stops down below if you're interested. Personally, I'm not interested in the drilled and slotted and whatever all and who knows and anywho. So I'll link what I'm using and I'll link some Power Stops if you're interested. But for today, we're using some Geospec brake rotors. I'll link those down below. We're using some DFC brake pads, and I believe this is a, I forget what brand, it's a no-name brand hardware kit for the calipers. In addition to that, we're using some acetone or brake clean, your choice. Also using some Permatex copper anti-seize. And I'm using some CRC brake grease. All of this I'll link down below. Check out those links, it helps me out. Also, I got a Zelle information, my email for Zelle down there, and PayPal if you're interested in donating to the cause of keeping this channel running. But yeah, so let's do it. This is a simple job you can do at home. You don't need the lift. I'm using the lift because I bought the lift, so I'm going to use the freaking lift. I've done dozens of brake jobs on my butt or on a stool with a jack and a jack stand. This just makes it easier for me and you as a camera to see what I'm doing without having down angles. So hopefully this comes through clear and beautifully. Not much else to say, so let's do it. Uno, dos, almost, tres, cuatro, cinco. Oh, might not be jacked up quite high enough, almost. So close. So the first ones I'm going to attack are these, it's what's mounting the caliper to the bracket, and it's these two little bolts here. That is indeed a 13 millimeter. So I'm going to grab them and make sure you're on the loosen setting, of course. It might be seized in there. If this starts spinning like I did on most brake systems, you can stick a wrench in there. Chrysler, in all of their stupidity with all of the crap I hate about Chrysler, made it so you can't stick a wrench on there. It's too skinny. So I just use some needle nose vice grips. If you can honestly, you don't need these. These are just what I'm using. But you can just hold those with whatever you can find in your toolbox. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to take that one all the way out. I'm just going to get it loosened. And we're going to go down here to the bottom and do the exact same thing. Once you're about finger tight, you should be able to go ahead and take this off. There's bolt one. Just set aside when you're not going to lose it. I like the running boards. Oh, and this one's going to keep spinning, of course. So at this point, be careful you don't drop your caliper. Mine are fairly stuck in there, so I'm not too worried about it. Put your pliers away, take your other bolt, put it over here. Somebody Loctited those or something. So this is a tool I'm going to use. It's not necessary. It's just what I'm going to use. I just hang it on the coilover, and then you can wiggle your brake pad out or your caliper. If you need to, you can get a screwdriver in here and kind of pop it out, or a pry bar of some sort. If you're lucky though, it'll just pop out like that. I'm just going to hang this up here for now. Let me show you guys that. So there you go, just hanging it on the caliper like so. I mean on the coilover. All right, so now you got a couple options, but I don't know, you can see that how thin that pad is. The driver's side was the same way. The side with the piston on it was way thinner than the other side. Now, I think they know that because they put the squealers on the insides, not the outsides. Coincidentally enough, I'm not squealing, but that is way lower than my comfort level allows. So to get these brake pads out, I just put my finger around this lip and pull them out. Boop, just like so. And there you go. Same with this side. Oh, just twist them out. Okay, so something to remember before you put your new pads in is look where the squealer is. On this one, when I take them out, they're on the bottom inside of both sides. That's just nice to know for later. But you can see this metal backing is starting to separate right here. And that's all the pad that's left, which there is life left. It's not gone. But you can see the difference in pads. The inside one, which is this one that's running on the piston, is way thinner. So something that I've done in the past is, without getting too involved in taking the tire off, I just kind of peer in there and look at the outside pad to judge condition. That is a very false reading, because on the inside, the one you can't see, is literally less than half as thick, half the pad life left as on the outside. So just be careful when you're doing that is all. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull these out. These are a 21 millimeter bolt. They're a lot heavier duty than the other side. Go make sure you're on loosen. And we're just going to extend this ratchet. I'll link this ratchet down below. It's super nice. You've seen me use it in a lot of videos. It's got a 3/8 inch attachment for your socket and a 1/2 inch attachment. So you can use whatever size socket that you want or need. In addition, it's got this extendable reach bar, or not reach bar, breaker bar function. So extends out quite a bit. I'll link it down below. I use it. This is my favorite ratchet I've ever owned. So you're just gonna break these ones loose. Okay, again, I'm not gonna take the top one out, I'm just gonna loosen it, and I'm gonna break the bottom one loose. Ow, that was my finger. That's gonna turn brown. Dang, that did hurt. Okay, so there's one bolt. It's a pretty big bolt. That's holding your caliper bracket to the vehicle. Which is funny, it's all the same system, but then to hold your actual caliper to the bracket is very small. I'm no engineer though. No idea what it should or shouldn't look like. I like to assume Chrysler knows what they're doing, except for the fact that most of the crap I work on for Chrysler, not for Chrysler, but most of the Chrysler products I've worked on suck. I don't know what their engineers get paid, but I'm guessing it's not enough. Not because they do a good job, but because they don't care about doing a good job. If there's any Chrysler engineers watching this, don't take it personally. Just, you know, do a better job of designing your crap in such a way that people can work on it. That's all I'm getting at. Because I'm pretty much not buying more Chrysler products unless I have to. All right, so in Arizona, typically, you can just grab your rotor and yank it off. For some reason, this van, the other side was welded into the rust. I don't know why there's rust on here. Most of my vehicles don't have that problem being here in Arizona, but for some reason, these ones have rust. So you might get lucky and just a quick hit. You might have to grab the hammer. Sometimes you can get lucky with a rubber mallet, whack it. I'm not talking tap it, I'm talking whack it, work your way around. I'll put this back up there. That was just to demonstrate you can freaking whack it. Still not coming off. I use the air hammer on the other side, so I'm gonna grab that for this too. So the air hammer, you don't wanna break everything. I'm really just using this to vibrate. You're gonna see me mar the surface a little bit. I'm replacing the rotor, I don't care. I'm not gonna hit the studs, I'm not gonna hit anything down here. I'm just doing the rotor, and just in case this doesn't come off for some reason, I'm not going to do this surface yet. I'm just going to do here. This is all that matters anyway, because this is what is welded to the hub behind it. So. you're in the Rust Belt, supposedly you're probably used to doing that. This is Arizona, I'm not used to doing that. What happens is you can kind of see the clearness right here. It just kind of welds itself in place. The two different metals, they just grab each other and weld. So to prevent that in the future, what I'm gonna do, you can use brake clean, carb clean, whatever you want to use. I'm fresh out of it. We just did a big job the other day on the Jeep. So I'm just gonna grab some acetone on a towel. Oh, that hurts. My finger's sore. I smushed it earlier, but just gonna grab some acetone, clean up the loose stuff. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'll just replace the hubs next time if I have to. Once you got that kind of cleanish, I'm gonna grab my anti-seize. Now, I don't know if this is proper. I don't know if this is good. I don't know if it's bad. I'm not a big anti-seize person. When you have an issue, I become one. I'm just gonna kind of coat this. Yes, that's a thick coat. We'll come back and use some more. We'll drag some of it down here. Comment in the below if you know if this is a good idea or a bad idea, or if you've never thought about it but you think it's going to be a good idea. This might just help us next time, or whoever owns the van next time, do their brakes without having to get all aggressive with the rotor. Now, before you start commenting, one, I appreciate you commenting, but two, before you start commenting about me killing everybody in the planet by not being able to brake with this, prove it to me when you comment. So comment some of the effect of, hey, you're gonna kill everybody by doing this, but then tell me why and what you have to back that up. All right, so I'm gonna open my new rotor. These are nice and pretty. So these do not come greased. A lot of rotors will come greased to keep them from rusting in the packaging. These ones are not coming greased. If you want to take that light thing of acetone and just coat the front or a brake clean, whatever you got, go for it. I'm not going to worry about it on these because I'm just, not going to worry about it. So it's going to go on like that. Now we just reassemble everything else too. So your bracket's going to go on. If you want to do your hardware now, you can, or you can do it later. Doesn't matter to me. Let's do it now. So again, we buy this hardware kit. It's aftermarket. So pay attention how these sit. So these have these little tabs. These tabs are facing out away, and then there's a flat edge which is towards the bracket itself. Just pay attention to that so you know how to get it off. I just grab my finger on this little spring and pop it off like that. And then your new one will go on the same exact way. That's the wrong side. These are directional. Just keep that in mind, so it could kind of burn you if you don't know that. So that's the other side. Okay, so this one, there we go. So in these, we're just gonna start on the inside, put it in and clip it into place. That's it. We're gonna do that in all four. If these are rusty, you're gonna need to scrape them out with a wire brush of some sort. Mine are not rusty. Again, with the anti-seize, typically not a big issue here in the Arizona state, but this one, just to make it easy for next time and to make you guys happy in the comments, to show that I take care of all of you guys, we're just gonna take some anti-seize, coat it on the bolt threads. Like I said, I'm not a big anti-seize guy. I've never really used it before, so I don't know how much you're supposed to use. I'm just kind of coating the bolt in it. It's not swimming, but everything's coated. I believe, or I've heard it said before, that you can coat this bolt head right here, the shoulder, and that'll keep the shoulder from seizing itself to whatever metal that is. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's just something I've heard. So we're gonna put this back in place, stick our bolt back in place. So at this point, I'm just getting this in place, not going crazy, not getting it torqued down, just putting it in place. Okay, so I like to arm tighten these right now, and then I'll go through and I'll torque them before I put the tire on. I will go ahead and share those torque specs with you right now on the bottom of your screen. It's important to note, if you are going to torque them later, don't go too tight now, because you might actually go tighter than torque spec. If you don't have a torque wrench and you're not planning on it, which I'm not saying I advise, Oh, just get it freaking tight. Remember how tight it was getting off, and go about to that much if that's so-called a measurement. All right, so these guys, these get special treatment right here. So these you can just pop off, boop. So mine is actually kind of dirty. So this is grease. This is all, it's just grease. So I want to go ahead and clean that off. If you want to replace your boots, if they're dry rotted, now would be a good time. I'm just going to take my brake grease, same brake grease we're using for everything else, and I'm just going to liberally apply. Don't have to worry about it being perfect because it's going to move around, but I'm just going to coat everything. And we're just going to stick this back in place, and then we're going to have to clean up whatever grease doesn't go in with everything else. I just spin it until boop, it pops on like that. Okay, now we're going to do the bottom one, same thing. All right, so while we're on the topic of grease, without getting your caliper greasy, I just take my brush and I just get some grease on these. You don't need to go liberally, just get a coating of grease. 1, it'll help keep it from rusting. 2, it's going to help everything slide. 3, it might not matter because your caliper is not going to move all that much at first because it'll be thick, but that's just what I do. All right, so now your calipers, again, are your brakes. Link down below. Just gonna pull these out. Remember, I said my squealer was in the bottom right, so this one's gonna go on this side. I'm gonna put it in first, just like the opposite of the way it came out. Just get these ears inside the tabs, and then pop it in place like so. Same with the other side. Squealer goes on the bottom, on the inside. And I'm just going to put these in. So that's in. So now your pads are in place. We're almost done. Okay. So now you're going to grab your caliper, balance it as non-precariously as possible. If yours is rusted out, dirty, nasty, whatever, go ahead and clean it up good. Ours is actually pretty decent. So I use one of these tools. It's called the caliper spreader. I'll link one down below. Alternatively, you can use a C-clamp. If you're going to use a C-clamp, just grab one of your old pads. I'm too high, you guys can't even see. Just grab one of your old pads, put it in here like this, then you grab your C-clamp, boop, and then just spin it in and it'll push the caliper. There's a bazillion videos on YouTube doing that. A bazillion videos on YouTube doing everything. But we're going to use this, and I'm going to show you how easy this is to use. Now in business. So now we're just going to take this, and this is all it is. We're just sitting here and spreading the piston out. You guys can't see anything I'm doing, can you? You're just going to push it all the way back till it don't push back anymore. Something to note is your master cylinder up top, your brake fluid reservoir might be overflowing at this point if you had it pretty full. If it was down below the max mark, you're probably fine in my experience. If you're just doing the 2, if you're doing all 4, you might want to go check on it. Siphon some out if you have to. Okay, I'm just going to loosen this out. Oy. So I say this is easier than a C-clamp, but I want you to keep in mind that the C-clamp is almost as easy. It's not hard. This is not something that's hard to do. So I want to take this and just grease the mating surface of the piston with the brake pad. The back of the brake pad has a metal plate on it. This is just going to help eliminate squeaks and squeals. Same with these ears right here. I'm just going to coat them. Not liberally, just a little coating of grease on these ears where they meet the metal of the brake pad or the brake shoe, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's more like a pad than a shoe. All right, so now this, you just got to remember how you took it off. Here we go. It's like this. And this is going to go in on your brake pads. Just push these pins in so you can fit the ears or the mounting tabs of the caliper. Let that sit in place. So now, for you anti-seize people in the Rust Belt, I'm doing this for you because you've asked in my other videos, why don't you ever use anti-seize? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to use anti-seize, but what we're doing, I'm just going to give a nice even coating. Boop, boop. Stick her in the hole and get it lined up. And again, I'm not going to tighten this, I'm just going to get it a few threads in and then get the other one. Same thing, get her lined up, get a few threads in. Most likely we're going to have to use our vice grips to hold this again. Make sure you're on the tighten setting. I'm going to torque these in a little bit, but you can find the torque specs in the video down below. I'll have a little screen there for you. I'm going to pull that out of the manual, so don't just trust me, do your own research, look it up if you like. I'm just a guy that don't know what he's doing, so I'm not a mechanic. Please remember that, I am not a mechanic. So at this point, you can grab your brake clean or your acetone, and if you got any grease or markings on this rotor, you want to go ahead and clean that up now before your first pass with the brakes. Yes, I know somebody's going to chew me out for not doing a star pattern here. I'm literally doing this finger tight. I don't give a crap about your star pattern. The reasoning for the star pattern is just to keep everything flat and flush. I'm doing this finger tight. Who cares? My typical method for torquing these down is I will do the star pattern. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that's the first torque round. Second torque round, I'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I go to 6 just to make sure everything's torqued down, because this is your freaking tire. You don't want it coming apart. So let's go ahead and clean up our mess. We'll torque our bolts down, our lug nuts, and we'll take a drive. We'll break in these, and my night to cook dinner, and it's already 5:40, so I need to get inside and cook dinner. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a quick test drive, but before we drive, before we even put this into gear, we want to depress the brake pedal a few times and try and take up some of the slack on the new pads. We want to get those against that rotor. Get you guys flipped around. As the van is running right now, I'm just going to put my foot on the brake. I'm going to go all the way to the floor, back up, floor, back up, floor. There we go. Now it's getting solid. Okay. Just go until it's solid, like normal. It's still going to be a little bit juicy when you first take off, so don't be scared. That's the main thing to do first, is you just want to take up all that slack. Alright, so I'm in the van, and there's a couple things you want to do. I'm not a mechanic, so keep that in mind. But there's a couple things I like to do after replacing the brake pads, just to make sure that the vehicle is good to go for my wife and children. And I learned this from just doing this so many times. I like to take it down on the road, get it up to about 30 miles an hour, and then we're just going to come to a stop right here, just a nice gentle stop. And the first several times you do this, you're going to accelerate up to about 30. The first time I do just like 5-10 miles an hour, make sure everything's set and right and it's not going to bust apart. But the next several times you do it, just from about 30 miles an hour, and then you just start slowing down, just nice and gentle. You'll hear a lot of grinding. That's just everything meeting. It's the new metals seating, it's the pads getting stuck in place. But that sound will go away. When that sound goes away, it usually tells me that I'm on the right track and we're getting pretty set up, so we should be good. Like right now, we're at 30 miles an hour. Just gonna slow down, just a nice gentle slow down to 0. And I don't hear any more grinding. I don't hear any more unhappy sounds per se. So I can show you guys my speedometer just so you know. So we're going up to about 30, 35, and I'm just going to hit the brakes. I want to slow down. Make sure nobody's behind you, obviously. This is a nice slow road. It's 8 o'clock at night. It's dark. There's nobody here. So we're just going to accelerate up. About 30 miles an hour, and foot on the brake. Just nice and easy. Do it over and over and over. Just do this at your own discretion. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a guy that figures things out, and this is my method. This is what I do. So thanks for watching. Make sure you tune in for more. I'm always posting videos. I'm always about once a week. I'm always learning new things, doing new things. Just keep in mind, I'm just a guy figuring crap out. Just because I do what I do doesn't mean you should or could. It's just me doing what I'm doing. Take my videos at entertainment value only. Check out the playlist, hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and I just did that backwards. Hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, check out the playlist, and if you're feeling so inclined to donate to the channel, I've got my Zelle email down below as well as my PayPal information. So thanks guys, stay safe, stay healthy, don't freak out. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you next time.